Thank you for tuning into the Island Treasures podcast. We value the insights shared by our guests and host, but it's important to note that their personal experiences are intended to inform and encourage, and not to replace professional, legal, or medical advice. With that, we are ready for today's exciting episode. Welcome to the Island Treasures mini podcast for caregivers. This episode is brought to you by Alongside Caregiver Consulting, and I am your host and caregiver consultant, Alison Van Schie from beautiful Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. Today's mini episode is from an episode that aired in Season 2 called The Musician's Daughter, where Betsy Haddad offered many insights through her caregiving story, including the significance of her song choice for the outro, which was based on her father Edward's philosophy of life. Life is a cabaret.
Life is a cabaret, oh chum, come to the cabaret.
Music certainly carries so much meaning and connection in the lives of those with dementia and Alzheimer's, and also provides a soothing or motivating outlet for their caregivers. In Betsy and her dad's caregiving relationship, it emphasizes their father-daughter bond. As an adult child caregiver, Betsy sees herself in a supporting role to her mother, who is Edward's primary caregiver. Up until the COVID-19 restrictions took effect, Edward participated in meaningful programs, as there are many resources for folks with Alzheimer's and dementia in Central Florida where they live. This provided Betsy's mum with some respite. As Island Treasures originates in Canada and resources here differ, what struck me was that even though the programs and availability of programs may differ, what doesn't differ is the existence and prevalence of Alzheimer's and dementia. But as we learn about other creative and beneficial programs from across the world, through technology we can all adapt similar programs, like the ones Betsy mentioned, such as Art's the Spark from the Orlando Museum of Art, or the Brain Flex Wellness Program. She also mentioned square dancing, and that could be available in many communities as well. Betsy spoke about her wishes that we all would prepare for our futures, saying we should think ahead to the future before it's here. I'd like to expand a bit here on the importance of advanced care planning for all of us, because our future will be here whether we plan for it or not. What is advanced care planning? It can seem like a daunting topic. So simply start by doing some personal reflection on what you value and what your beliefs are. And what would you like your life to look like if you were to receive a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia or some other chronic or debilitating illness in the future? Then from these reflections, start talking about your wishes with those who are your people, your support team, your family members, friends, folks you trust. Write your wishes down. Decide who could best convey your wishes and be your voice to medical professionals if you yourself could no longer speak. Have a conversation with that person about the possibility of them becoming a substitute decision maker for you. Have their contact information available and have it kept current. Draw up a power of attorney and a will. In British Columbia, where I live, there are also representation agreements. There are lots of starts here. Start by thinking. Start talking. Start choosing. Start writing things down. And remember, it's not too early to start. It was very important for Betsy that the message to the listeners to get their advanced care planning in order was heard, so much so that she committed to moving forward in her advanced care planning. If you haven't thought about it for yourself, I encourage you to start taking the steps and having the conversations now. What's next? It's a good idea to do some research while you have time to see what services, options, and resources are available in your area, before you feel pressured to find resources that you may need when your circumstances change. The Alzheimer Society is a great resource and a great place to start. Also check out the new dementia villages or campuses of care. What are your options for affordable home care, for home living, and aging in place? Perhaps you need to become an advocate for improvements in the options available and increasing the options available. So it's best to be prepared and to have your family and friends know what matters most to you. And this could also have a spin-off effect and motivate others to be proactive, and you may be asked to be someone else's substitute decision maker. Now, other advice from Betsy relates to her suggestions to enhance the caregiving relationship you may be in right now. She reminds us to find the joy, go to that dance, take that trip, make opportunities, take opportunities, be a companion, spend time with your loved one, try to be patient. Operative word is try. Don't have a schedule when you're with your loved one. That's another tough one. And Betsy spoke about how she would go to the thrift stores with Edward and he would linger over items that were his treasures. If Betsy had been watching the time or looking at her watch all the time, that may have caused her frustration and Edward frustration and may have spoiled their time together. Don't forget to laugh. Get out, go to the party, sing the song, listen to the music, and don't let go of what motivates you. And finally, remember, it's never too soon to start advanced care planning. If you are in the midst of your own caregiving journey and need some supports, I invite you to tap into alongsidecaregiverconsulting.ca. I recognize how precious your time is, especially as caregivers, and so this mini podcast is designed just for you. And when you have more time, I invite you to listen to the full episode called The Musician's Daughter, back from Season 2 of the Island Treasures podcast. Thanks for listening to this podcast today. Take care.